All righty, welcome everybody to the December 2021 meeting of the Parks, Recreation, Waterfront, and Resiliency Committee. I am your Zoom facilitator, Michael Marino, the host of the meeting tonight, and Trevor Holland is our chair of the committee who will be running the business side of the meeting. I will just give you some quick things about Zoom protocols that we do every meeting. As a reminder, to abide by open meeting law, the meeting is being recorded, so keep that in mind. We ask everybody who is not a community board member to sign in the chat using your name and any organizational affiliation that you might have. Remember, the chat is set only to come to myself and Trevor as the host of the meetings. It does not go to anybody else. We ask that you do not use the chat to have side conversations or anything like that. Just use it if you have technical questions or technical issues about Zoom. If presenters need to send something out to everybody, they send it to me and then I send it to everybody. Otherwise, we also ask that everybody keep themselves muted at all times unless you are called on to speak. We will have, I believe, only one presentation tonight. Typically how the meeting is run is after the presentation is made, the chair of the committee will call on community board members first to ask questions and comments. And we use the raise hand feature for that. We ask at that time that members of the public do not raise their hand so that we can only have community board members raising their hand. If members of the public raise their hand during that time, we will lower them. Then after community board members are done, Trevor will ask for members of the public who have questions and comments. That's when it's your time to raise your hand. And we will call on people as we see them raising their hands, and you will have 2 minutes to ask your question or make your comment. We typically use a timer for this. Sometimes we opt not to, but that is the chair's discretion. Some technical things about Zoom. If you are on a computer, you raise your hand by going into the participants tab and looking for the raise hand feature. I believe you can also find it under, what's it called? Reactions. I think you can also find it under reactions now too. Keep in mind, if you're on the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand and to lower your hand. When the screen is being shared like it is now, the controls tend to move to the top of the screen. So keep that in mind. When the screen is not being shared, the controls are at the bottom of the screen. You also have the ability to change how you see the screen when the screen is being shared. So if you prefer not to see what's being shared, you can change that to see people's faces instead. Again, we ask you to keep yourself muted. If you are on a computer, you can mute and unmute yourself simply by either clicking the microphone icon or by pressing and holding down the space bar. If you are on a phone, it is *6 to mute and unmute yourself. And that is all I got for you, gang, and I will hand it off to our chair, Trevor.
Thank you, Michael, for that great introduction. I don't know how you remember all those things, but thank you. As he stated, we're going to follow a few protocols. Just note that tonight's meeting will be a little different than we thought. I'll get into that in a minute. Also keep in mind a couple of things, and I learned this from the last meeting, is that I have a limited screen, which means I can't see everything. I can't see every community member. So if you do raise your hand, if you have a question, please be patient until we have at least Michael looking for the raised hands. Also, if you've been to one of these meetings before, you know that I try and let everyone speak, and we do not like to put that clock up. But once we have a few people go over that time limit, we're going to have to put that clock up. So it's up to you as community members to determine, if you want to give time to your other neighbors. So please respect that timer and just be brief in what you talk about. If you see me looking down, which I will occasionally be doing, it's because I'm trying to take notes and I have a different setup than I normally have. So I will be looking down, taking notes throughout the meeting. That being said, we're going to go ahead and start. I don't think Ryan is on right now. Michael, do you see her?
I do not believe I let her in. So
I'm here on my phone, and I'll be on my computer in a minute. But
all right, so we're gonna go ahead and have Michael do the roll call. This is also for minutes approval unless anyone it doesn't want or doesn't approve of the minutes. So
All
Michael,
right.
go ahead and do a roll call.
Okay, just keep in mind, folks, I do not have a list in front of me, so I'm going off of memory. So I'm not going to go in alphabetical order. And if I forget you, I forget you. Kay Webster.
Yes.
Troy Velez. Troy Velez. You were on earlier. Josie Velez.
Yes.
Yaron Ottman.
Yes.
David Adams.
Yes.
Robin Chattel.
Yes.
That's Frick Madison.
Trevor Holland.
Yes.
Carlin Chan.
Yes.
Michael Marino, yes. Who did I forget?
Ryan Gillum.
Daniel Tanow
Yes.
and Ryan Gillum.
Yes.
All right, Troy, are you
Did you
back?
say
Hi, come back.
All right.
I'm here.
did you say Valentina?
Valentina Jones. How can I forget you, Val?
Yes.
Any other community board members I forgot?
Michael, do you have me, Troy?
I got you, Troy. We have full
Thank you.
attendance tonight. Woo!
Full attendance. That's great. First, we're going to start with the Parks Manager update. I believe we have both park managers on, Jamil and Jamal.
Hi, good evening. I don't think Jamal came on for the call, but I do have his update for District 2.
Gotcha.
For District 3, unfortunately, we're going to be losing 2 seasonal step-up supervisors in the next 2 weeks. They'll be staying in the district, but they're going back to their original titles. One's going to be a support staff. The other's going to be a gardener. It's going to be a great help because they got the experience of being a supervisor in the district. They know what needs to get done. They're going to help staff direct them towards the parks to make sure we can keep them clean and address any upcoming problems. We still have the extension for the CCC staff and seasonal pool staff that will be continued to June 30th. Ongoing district concerns are leaves, garbage, graffiti, and homeless encampments. We're also trying to get our snow equipment ready for the upcoming snow season. District 2 update would be Columbus Park. There's several lights out adjacent to the staff park house. DOT has been notified. We're waiting on repairs and replacement. The Pier 35, the party boat signage has been removed from the pier. I think also you guys wanted me to also talk about Tompkins and the permitted activities, correct?
Correct. I don't know if Susan is on.
Don't believe she is. She's not.
Okay. Yeah, there was the Tompkins permitted activities and amplified sound.
So basically, permitted activity for Tompkins, we do it the second and fourth weekend of the month. Basically, we keep a window, a 4-hour sound window. There's no sound events after 6 p.m. at all. So the first and the third, there's no permitted activity unless it's grandfathered in from a previous year. For example, it would be the Chris Parker concert. Typically, we have a supervisor and we have support staff that stay on, keep the bathroom open, accommodate whatever kind of group we have, but to make sure the group is also following the guidelines of the their permit. So typically, we do have some issues with sound. I think that's where the concerns came up. What I did prior was I forwarded to Susan all the permitted activity for Tompkins to the end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
That's my report.
All right, we're going to go with the 3 questions I see. I don't know who raised their hands first, but I'll go with Josie first.
Hi, Jamal. How are you? Josie from Gouverneur Gardens.
Hi, Josie. How you doing?
I'm good. I appreciate you always answering as soon as I call you or I email you. I do appreciate your help very much. Jamal, today one of your workers was cleaning leaves in Lillienwald Park with a machine, a big machine. So he's kicking the leaves out of the park, but he's throwing it onto our property. So I waved at him while I was walking my dogs, and I just said to him, can you not throw it on the property? He says, I'm working. I can't talk with you right now. He just kept going. Like, so, anyway,
I apologize about that. We're
Yeah.
supposed to blow them in the corner and pick them up. They did it the wrong way. I'll speak to
yeah,
them
he was
tomorrow
throwing it
morning about
onto
that.
the property of the grass and the sidewalk, so, you know, I just let him go because I know, you know, you guys are short and I didn't want to beat the drum, you know, so, but I do appreciate you just letting him know, okay?
I definitely will.
Thank you so much, Jamal. Have a happy.
You're welcome. No problem.
Carlin?
Yeah, hi, Jamil. When we're talking
How you
about
doing?
the lighting at Columbus Park, it's not only by the facility, it's actually the whole park. Right? Most of the lights are out, or they're dim enough to be a night light in your home. Right? And can you add to the DOT that email notify them that none of the lights in Thomas Paine or in Foley Square Park are operational? So those two parts are totally dark. Thank you.
So it's Foley Square, and what's the other one?
Foley Square Park and Thomas Paine Park.
Thomas Paine. Okay.
Thomas
I'll let
Paine
them all
is
know.
across from, it's where the fountain is. It's across from 26 Federal. Right. And the Foley Square Park is the little triangle park right on the side of the State Supreme Court building.
Okay. I'll let them all know.
Yeah, the
about
lights have been out for
lighting
that
issue.
for 2 years now. Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you. Carlin, I know this is an ongoing issue, but let's see if we can get some progress on this. So if you can send that exact complaint to the office so we can track that and then follow up again next month.
Yeah, I've been sending it to, actually Steve Simon knows about it. Even Castro came down here and I told him about it, but I'll put it in writing to you.
Yeah, that's so we can follow up on it, even if it's a monthly issue.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some progress. Okay.
Yeah, hi, Jamal.
Yeah.
So I did email you about this, but Sergeant, you know, we're having a lot of trouble in the south of the Delancey area in Sarah Roosevelt Park, and we just had a shooting incident there today. But Sergeant Yip and his youth explorers are wanting to come and do some work Saturday, and we were hoping that you could give us a bunch of wood chips for the area, so that we can.
I saw an email. He emailed me again today. I'm gonna try to meet with him tomorrow and get, if he give me a location where I could drop them, we'll drop them there.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. There is good.
Give me an ideal location where you want them, I can make sure they get dropped tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll send it to you in writing, but it's the South Delancey, near the Waimea Bird Sanctuary. And speaking of Waimea Bird, we really could use to have the fences that were put up taken down. There was a gate put in, but the gate opens right to where the drug dealers sit. So it's the elders don't feel safe going there. I don't blame them. This is a very troubled area, but the only thing the fencing has done, I know the police or somebody thought it would be helpful, but it's turned out to be exactly opposite land, that the only people who stayed were the drug dealers. So, just two other things. The low brick walls that are in that same area, still garbage accrues there, and the rats just have a buffet. So if we could take those down, it'd be great. And then the BRC was asking today, they've been waiting for 5 years for their windows and doors to be replaced. The funding's all there. Do you know anything about that? Does anyone have an update?
That I don't have an update on. I could reach out to Steve and Mark, let them make them aware of it, so we can get I can get better information to get back to you on.
All right, thanks so much, Jamal. I really appreciate it.
All right,
No
thanks.
problem.
And our last question will be Troy.
No questions, but just wanted to say thank you to Jamel. It was a great help in getting the permit at Henry M. Jackson Park for this weekend. We have what's probably going to be the first that a community organization would have is ice skating in the park. That's happening Saturday and Sunday of this weekend. And I
Troy, 1 second. I'm going to put you in our speaker forum for that announcement. It just helps me take notes on this. So if you want to start again.
Again, we're having an event at Henry M. Jackson Park Saturday, starting at 1 o'clock, going through Sunday. It's ice skating in the park. It's Henry Street Settlement and Friends of 12 Park. We're doing giveaways for children, ice skating on both days. And actually, I believe Community Affairs is coming out on Sunday to give out some more stuff for us. So it's going to be a nice event. And I just wanted to thank Jamel for helping us get the permit to do this. One other thing that I got to say, Jamel, is we're still kind of upset that we're being charged a concession fee. I just wanted to put it on record so that maybe as a community board, we could do something when a park group does something like this for the community. We're not charged a fee on top of what we had to lay out for the community. And again, it's a free event for everyone in the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Troy, and thank you, Jamil. We're actually it's a good segue to our public speaking forum, but thank you, Jamil, and I'll try and follow up on a couple of these items after this meeting.
Okay, not a problem.
All right, thanks. So we have 3 speakers. Well, we're added Troy to the speaker, but Frank, first up will be Frank. Frank, I'm going to give you, I think we're going to have to put the clock up for these, Michael, because they're not within the agenda. So. And if you think the clock is too big or disturbs you, as folks have mentioned, you can always control the size of your screen.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. And thank you, CB3 Parks. And hello to my neighbors. I just wanted to speak tonight to share a little bit about myself and my perspective, particularly when it comes to supporting ESCR. Ever since I was a kid, I had an affinity for nature that I wasn't really able to understand, but I didn't think too much about it either. I just watched Wild America religiously. I would go to the library and take out all the books on animals, and that was that. Years later, my high school was behind Lincoln Center, and my friends and I would go to Central Park quite a lot, even though none of us lived close to that area. Being able to go into a public park and see barely any buildings was really cool. At least I thought so when I was young. I relish being in nature, even though I'm a 4th generation New Yorker who never had a summer home to escape to. Years ago, when I was planning my wedding, it was very simple. I couldn't afford a big affair, sure, but I picked a tree next to, in the amphitheater. It was a tree that I loved near my home. Years after that, when I walked by and I saw a big X on it, I knew the memorial of one of the happiest days of my life wasn't long for the world. So I rode my bike often enough until I saw it was removed. That's when I grabbed the leftover parts that wouldn't matter much to anybody else, and I saved them as bookends for my library. I love nature. I love seeing the red-tailed hawk squawk and soar across my window as it perches in the building across from me. But I know climate change is here. I know the seas are rising. It will soon be too late to protect my affordable housing development and the homes of all the other majority Black and brown NYCHA residents in the waterfront. I know without sufficient flood protection, we may be forced to move one day for what the city calls managed retreat or housing mobility. I know that a Robert Moses designed park full with non-native species cannot endure saltwater inundation, and a 1% city parks budget won't have the resources to handle any more onslaughts. But most of that, I know that my life, my family's life, the lives and the future of poor people of color who are hit harder than anyone else are worth more than the life of a tree, and Mother Nature doesn't wait for flood protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, for that. And Michael, I believe the next speaker is Valentina.
Oh, okay. Hi, my name is Valentina Jones, and I'm here on behalf of the Lower East Side Power Partnership. We wrote a letter on August 25th, 2021 to Councilmember James Gennaro. And what we stated was Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer had a planning commission hearing on July 31st, 2019, and it was said that Hurricane Sandy was a wake-up call, that 43 city residents lost their lives, 1.1 million children were unable to attend school for a week, close to 2 million people lost power, and 6,500 patients were evacuated from hospitals and nursing homes in the flood zone. LESPP advocates flood protection for the Lower East Side, and CAP save lives. According to Planning Together, a new comprehensive planning framework for New York City, December 2020, by 2100, many neighborhoods, including parts of Lower Manhattan, are expected to flood every day at high tide due to sea level. The document goes on to state in areas that face increasing exposure to chronic high tide flooding, the ability to maintain uninterrupted access to a decent, safe, sanitary home may become compromised over time. This scenario requires programs that facilitate housing mobility or the ability of New Yorkers to improve housing conditions and achieve housing stability by deciding to relocate. LESPP advocates flood protection for the Lower East Side, capitals, save homes. A feasibility study about interim flood protection program states that interim flood protection measures program does not mitigate rainfall flooding. Interim flood protection program does not protect for severe events like Sandy. Interim flood protection program does not fully eliminate flood risk. LESPP advocates for flood protection for the Lower East Side. CAPS, save lives, save homes, save families. Thank you. That was 2 minutes, right? That's what I had.
That's good. Thank you, Val. I don't know if Linda is on.
She's not. Unless she's on under a different name. Linda Jones, are you online?
If not, Mike, you can take the clock down. We're going to go on to the next agenda item. I'm going to preface this with the same speech or similar speech that I gave last month. Since there are some court actions going on, that we're not going to go into a full discussion of the construction schedule and for the East River portion of the ESCR project. Please keep in mind that there is a temporary restraining order. However, the construction on the project continues. It continues in Project Area 2, and the work is only stopped in our area. But we're really going to focus on just the actions that have been taken so far and how that affects our community. We're going to push that discussion to next month, depending on what happens in the courts, about an in-depth discussion on the construction schedule and the phasing of the closing of the park. So just keep that in mind when we begin this discussion, that we're not trying to limit the discussion about it, but we're not at a point now because of the temporary restraining order to discuss anything further. That being said, I see 2 hands up. Aixa, did you want to speak in public session, or did you want to wait until the presentation ends?
I'll wait until the presentation ends.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to put your hand down for now then, Aixa. Please put it up later. Thank you.
All right, Desiree, the screen is yours.
Desiree, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, the gallery thing was floating all around the screen and I couldn't find any buttons. So I'm so sorry. Okay, can you see this screen where my mouse is? Okay, great, thank you. All right, so hi everyone. Welcome again to the Eastside Coastal Resiliency construction update at the CB3 Parks Committee meeting. Once again, my name is Desiree Gazzo. I'm here with HNTB Lero, the program manager, construction manager for the Eastside Coastal Resiliency Project. I'm joined here today with my colleagues at DDC, DOT, Parks, and a couple of other agencies as well for the presentation. As Trevor mentioned, it is going to be a short presentation similar to the last time we were here presenting. We did give a lengthier presentation, which included some of the amenity questions that we received, not the last time we presented here, but the time before that. We incorporated those into the CAG meeting, the Community Advisory Group meeting, because we wanted to put that information out as soon as possible. So you can go to the ESCR website to see those slides. And again, the recording will be up on Friday. So please, I do urge you to do that if you wanted more information about some of the questions that were asked 2 CB3 meetings ago. But as Trevor mentioned, we will have a shorter presentation this evening due to everything that is going on. So sorry, let me just fix my screen again because it is still being, okay. Okay, perfect. All right, so we'll do a quick overview of contracts when we'll briefly touch upon Project Area 2, and then we'll close with Project Area 1. Again, Project Area Overview, which we're all aware of. Project Area 2 over here in red, and Project Area 1 in yellow. Overview of contracts for Project Area 1. The notice to proceed was issued to the contractor on August 16th. To date, the passive lawn installation is complete. The sod is still hatching in. So we just have to wait for the sod to set correctly, and then Parks Department will open that area for public use. There is currently a partial park and greenway closure, and we have some maps on that in the next coming slides. That's south of Stanton Street as of December 6th. For Project Area 2, as many of you are aware, construction is taking place in Astor Levy Playground, Stuyvesant Cove Park East, at East 20th Street and north of Solar One area. To date, we have over 500 feet of flood wall installed, and we have a photo in the presentation. And then the parallel conveyance, the bid was advertised on November 12th, and the bid opening is scheduled for January 4th, so in the new year. For Project Area 2, here's a map here. This is the map from our bulletins. In many of these locations, we are doing the pile installation and flood wall construction. At Astor Levy Playground, they are beginning to install some of the curbs and sidewalks, and then they will be moving forward with installing some of the amenities there. And again, that's scheduled to open next spring. And then they're still doing the flood wall and pile in that area as well. At Avenue C and East 20th Street, there is ongoing Con Ed utility work. Again, they're not in this entire area here. However, they were in various locations, and that's why this whole area is in this pinkish red color. Down here at East 20th Street, this is where they are now working on the pile installation for the gate that's going to go there. So they have to take this portion of the park to do the gate work here, and then that will reopen until they move into the southern end of the park. At the FDR Drive northbound exit ramp right here where the 6 is, there is some work that is finishing up here for sewer installation. So that should be finishing up here in the next couple of weeks as well. But they are on their way with the flood wall installation. So right now the pedestrian detour kind of looks like this. So pedestrians again have to cross here at Avenue C and walk around. The greenway is still open here where they are constructing the gate. So you could still access the greenway. And then the contractor did install a little kind of pedestrian pass through the area over here. The tree removal that was done in that area, we were able to coordinate with EDC and Solar One to provide them with many of the logs for shiitake mushroom logs as planting. So they're working with local gardeners and providing those. And then the mulch was provided to Solar One for the remainder of the garden. So we were very happy that we were able to collaborate with Solar One on that project. And then again, just a reminder, the Greenway over here, starting at East 23rd and then up to East 27th is local access only. As you'll see in a couple of slides, the detour for project area 2 does begin at East 37th Street because there is not a safe connection here. So here is a photo of the flood wall construction. Again, we like this photo because it really does show the process. Here you have like the foundation of the flood wall, and then these are the forms of the flood wall here, and then the concrete is poured in, and then this is the completed flood wall here, and there are the piles that have not been cut yet down here. So this picture really gives a good idea of what that construction process is. So we'll move on to project area 1. Again, it is a short presentation, but we did want to just provide everyone an update on where the park stands right now. So for project area 1, the closure is, again, Stanton Street doesn't exactly run through, but it happens to fall right in line with Stanton Street. And this is ball field 3 right here. So the park is closed from Stanton Street south to the passive lawn area here and the Corlears Hook Ferry. There is access to the Corlears Hook Ferry, and there will be access to the passive lawn area once that opens via Corlears Hook Park and Corlears Hook Bridge. And then the Greenway is closed south to Montgomery Street. And then park access is available at East Houston Street, at East 6th Street, and then at the 10th Street Bridge, and then through project area 2 by the Con Ed Pinch Point, you can also access there as well. We do understand that there was some signage questions that we've received, and we are again working with our partner agencies on a supplemental signage as things move forward. The Greenway detour. So this is the Greenway detour as it stands. And again, this was coordinated with DOT. It's Pike Street to Allen Street, 1st and 2nd Avenue, and then it connects to the PA2 detour here, which again continues to East 37th Street. Currently, the Greenway is open from East 20th Street down to, again, what we're calling Stanton Street. However, it doesn't, come through, but again, that ball field 3. And then the shared use path is closed from here up to Montgomery Street. And then it picks up again, ferry terminal is accessed via Corlears Hook Park. And then DOT again has identified some alternate local bike routes down East Houston and Avenue C. And that is the last slide, again, just to make everyone aware of where the project stands to date. And Trevor, we can take any questions now.
Thank you, Desiree. And as Michael indicated in the beginning of the meeting, we first go to committee members and then community board members, and then we will open it up to everyone else who's in the meeting. We're going to use a 2-minute timer for those folks who want to ask questions. Well, I don't usually start with it. If we determine that we need it, we will implement it. Michael, the first person I think I saw raise a hand was Valentine Jones and then Daniel. So we'll go in that order.
Okay, my question is this. It has come up a number of times about Baruch, and when I look at the Baruch scope of work, one of the things is that they're going to renovate the first floor apartments that were damaged by Sandy. And when I think about one of the presentations that you did, I don't know if you could see it, but basically it shows, this is, what is this? This is the existing condition. and the fact that they could be flooded. So my question is, I can't imagine living there and they're renovating because of damage from Sandy, and then knowing that, this is the present condition that you could be flooded with your children. So my question is, and I guess what really bothers me about this is that Baruch houses, you're talking low income, primarily people of color. And so my question is, have you talked with the people at Baruch, or do you know what that situation is? I'm talking about New York City Housing Authority, because looking at this, and when you look at Lillian Wall, they're not even doing a flood wall over there, but it looks like most of what they're doing is the fact that the place got damaged and that they are renovating first floor apartments. So I would imagine that those people are extremely fearful in terms of, this picture of the existing condition. So that's my question. Have you talked with the people of New York City Housing Authority, or to reassure the people of Baruch houses that have first floor damaged apartments?
Val, I'm a little confused by the question. Is this a question for NYCHA or for housing, or?
No, because the reason I'm asking you is that I've seen this come up a number of times about what's happening over at Baruch. And from what I'm looking at, this is not about what's happening over there. I think everybody sees all of this construction over there. Truthfully speaking, I haven't walked throughout, but I think people are wondering, the fact that it doesn't look like what they're doing at Baruch is about the flood protection from the river. And so that's, I've heard it asked before and I've seen it a number of times. So I'm just asking you, I don't think that these two projects particularly overlap in terms of protecting the people of the Baruch houses. That's really the question.
Okay, yes, I don't think we're familiar with exactly what is happening at Baruch. It is a separate project. Then it's not encompassed in the East Side Coastal Resiliency Project. That's a separate NYCHA project. So I don't think we have the information of what is happening at Baruch.
I think what, and Val, you can correct me, but I think what Val is asking is this project is designed to protect a lot of NYCHA housing. And correct. There are ongoing NYCHA resiliency projects going on which do not protect every building or every critical system. And we've gone through community engagement for quite some time, but there might need to be a campaign to let people know that this project is designed, as a protection for the entire neighborhood and for a lot of those buildings which are unprotected. So I think and it's probably not up to you, but maybe an organization to inform these people that this project is designed to protect all of NYCHA housing, not just particular buildings or critical infrastructure.
Right.
Oh, correct. I mean, correct. That is, it is to protect the NYCHA homes and beyond. We had earlier slides that had the FEMA floodplain on it. We could certainly bring that back. That shows kind of the extent of the ESCR project, where the park will be raised, where the flood walls are, the FEMA flood protection, the FEMA flood lines. We can certainly bring that back at another meeting and review that again if
yeah, I think that would be appreciated. And because when you look at Lillian Wall, they're not even doing walls over there according to what this says. It said flood. But thank you, Trevor, because I think that that's exactly what I would like to hear or at another session, is the fact that that protection from, say, Baruch up to Jacob Riis, which is New York City Housing Authority. And I would just like to hear, have you express for everyone to hear and understand that this is needed protection of people's lives, their children, their homes, from Baruch to Jacob Riis. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Val.
Mike, I only see Daniel. Are there other hands raised of committee members?
Oh, just Daniel.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, have two asks. One is, and you might not be able to answer this, if the Greenway can be opened up during the temporary restraining order. And then the placement of the fence at Stanton Street is extremely dangerous. It creates a corridor where people are walking and jogging and biking through shrubs and brush. And I don't know how the construction people came up with that placement. It should be part of that path, should open so that you can do a loop in the part of the park open. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Dark and dangerous in there, especially during the winter when it gets dark so early. Thanks.
Desiree, before you answer, Daniel, I know you don't have any right now, but if you get a chance, if you could take some pictures and send them to me. I have an idea, but if you're around, I know you bike a lot. If you could just send us a couple pictures.
Sure.
Thanks. Desiree?
Yeah, so in the original or in the earlier slides that we presented about the construction approach, the shared use path was going to be closed again for that kind of full area. So again, since the construction was only for a day or so, this is the extent of the fencing that they were able to put up at this point. So the full completion of construction fencing that was anticipated is not yet complete. So to be safe, right, people should, when they hit the fence, turn around and go back on the greenway or on the shared use path instead of going through the trees and the brush to get to the promenade area. And then as far as reopening the gate, that isn't, from what we have been told, that is not a possibility at this moment.
Desiree, let me ask one question, follow up.
Sure.
Are you allowed, and if you can answer this, and if you can't, you can't, are you allowed to work on fencing, or is that not allowed either?
We're still trying to navigate what exactly is happening, since this was all, again, fairly recent. Jeff, I don't know if you have anything further to say, but
I mean,
we don't, yeah.
Yeah, I would just say if there's something that's unsafe, we can certainly look at it and see if there's a way to make it better, if that answers your question, Trevor.
Sure, because if you're allowed to, I think Daniel raises a good point. I don't know what it looks like, but I understand work was just stopped, so everything wasn't completed. But if there's a safety issue, that might need some focus.
We'll certainly take it back.
Thank you.
Trevor, we have a from a community board member, Lisa Kaplan.
Yeah, I'm going to ask a few before we go to the folks. And Paige, I don't know if you want to reshare your screen, because I'm curious about the wall in project area 1.
Oh, share my screen again? Okay.
Yes, please. Go to page 8. And my questions are going to be brief. They aren't that. What's that dirt area in front of that wall that was formerly Stuyvesant Cove Park?
Correct.
Is that's being completely rebuilt as a new park?
Correct.
Does the flood wall sit in or out of that park?
The flood wall, so the flood wall is on the FDR side of the flood wall will be the greenway. Right. And then the park will begin right here on the other side of the wall. So the water side of the wall, which is the east side of the wall. And then in some locations, the landscaping will be bermed. There'll be some small berms with plantings, walkways, etc. And Trevor, I could send the some of the renderings. They are on the website, but I could also send them as well if that would be more helpful. And actually, I could try to put kind of in progress and then the rendering in the next presentation. So that way people can visualize what it looks like now and what it will look like when it's finished.
Right. And I just think it's helpful for a reason, because the entire area was raised and there's a brand new park with elevation in this particular area. And are you doing the same thing with Stuyvesant Cove? You don't have to show a picture.
Well, so this is Stuyvesant Cove Park.
I'm sorry.
With
Go ahead.
East River. So Stuyvesant Cove Park was not raised. The bulkhead was kept at its existing elevation. However, in order to install the flood protection and again, any underground utility work, etc., the park had to be kind of removed, and then it will be rebuilt again in that current location. The Greenway on one side and then the park on the other side. And then, yes, this will be similar to what it will be happening at East River Park, except again, there will be that very large portion of the park that will be raised. And then the kind of ends of the park will have walls. And again, I could bring that image back again at the next meeting.
Okay, no, that helps clear up something. And something else, and I know we're going to get to it in a minute, but there's two things that I wanted to get the Pier 42 issue before we go to participants. I know I talked about this before, but if you pull up that bike lane map.
This one?
Yes, the city hasn't invested a lot of money in bike lanes and city bikes and protected lanes, but they have forgotten, and they still haven't done anything for decades on the Allen Street portion that goes through the poorest area of the neighborhood in Chinatown. So if you ride a bike, that area is flooded all the time. I don't understand why bike advocates don't really push for this, but it's been like that for a while. And if we're going to push people to use Allen Street down to Pike, it's a fix. And if we could prioritize that now that the entire lane of traffic is supposed to go down Allen Street or use local traffic, and do it soon, because we've heard, we'll get it done. If we can do it soon, that would be helpful. And I don't know if DOT is on the call, but I'd like to hear their opinion, because they're certainly aware of this point near Allen Canal where it's just a mess and it's very dangerous.
Yes, our DOT colleagues are on the line. I believe Meg is on. I can't see everybody though.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And Jennifer's on too.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Desiree. Hi, Michael. Hi, Trevor. Thank you so much for that comment and those feedback. That feedback, I'll definitely, return that to my colleagues. Allen and Pike is definitely, an important corridor. It's heavily used. I myself ride it on my commute to and from. I live in Greenpoint. And so I do want to say that, it is something that we're taking a look at, and hopefully we'll return back with some information in the new year.
Okay, so we'll follow up next month with that. I didn't know you ride it. I don't know what you do in the rain, because you go up the street, but that's all.
I wear rain pants, but or I'll walk to the ferry. So it's nice to have options.
No, I'm just saying on that area which gets flooded. And also the area, and someone had raised this before, at Pike and South. I know there was some engineering done to make it a little safer, but now we're going to have a lot more traffic. I would still like to see, and it was in our resolution, that we put a traffic signal for bikes at that point, because you have a huge convergence of bikes going two ways, plus from Pike Street, plus vehicular traffic and people at that point.
Yeah. Noted. Thanks, Trevor.
Trevor, I'd raised my hand. Can I ask my question now, because it relates to the bike lane?
Sure, and then I'll go to Pier 42. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask if there was a plan in place in conjunction with this alternate bike route to also increase enforcement of people parking in the bike lane? I'm assuming not, since I'm hearing crickets.
No, hi, Michael. Happy to take that. Was there a particular corridor? Sorry that I missed that. It definitely is something we're hearing, people park up bike lanes in a number of different locations, but was there a particular area for this comment?
Pretty much all along First Avenue, especially in the 20s. People are always blocking the bike lane. I know it's not part of the alternate route that well, actually it is part of the alternate route, but the new bike lane on Avenue C is literally nothing but parked cars.
That's true.
So I will say that for Avenue C, it was a recent a project that we recently implemented, right? We first came to Community Board 3 back in fall of 2020. We wanted to do a project that helped to connect and extend the local bike routes here, as well as respond to a lot of the community push and elected push for additional detour routes in the area for ESCR. With implementation just kind of recently finished on the markings for AVC, there are going to be some growing pains. We are in contact with the local precincts for this project, as well as others. So now that you noted first and then the 20s, I'll also let our borough planners know that that's something that you're seeing. We do work with the precincts to kind of help try to clear up those areas, but it can be troublesome. So please continue to let us know. And I know that we still have a few punch list items on AVC, but if there's any other questions, DOT's here to help answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trevor, can I?
I see you, Robin. I see you, Robin. I'm gonna go to you next, but let me just, because there's other people queued, I want to just explain what we're gonna do. We have one more community member, and then we'll go to, and I think this is who I saw first, Lisa, and then Damaris for community board members. So, Robin.
Thanks. I had a question about the wall, but I'm gonna, since we're talking about the bike lane, I know that Allen Street is used.
Robin, do you have your TV on or something?
Oh, sorry, folks. I know that Allen Street is heavily used now, and it's like almost like a bicycle highway. So I would also stress maybe that you could the Montgomery Avenue C route could also be promoted as an additional route as well, since that's also been newly paved. The whole Montgomery Street is paved, and then that Montgomery all the way up to Delancey. I know it's a little funky when you get from Delancey to Houston, but I would try to promote both of those. That also is an alternative, because I think Allen Street is just going to be it's already a crazy highway.
Robin, I think you're talking about Clayton Street.
We're talking about, no, if you come up Montgomery Street right before the park closes, if I go back to that picture you just had, it looks like you can go up Montgomery Street, right? And then Montgomery turns into, it goes to Delancey. That's a brand new bike lane. And then from Delancey to East Houston, it's kind of funky. You got a police station and a bunch of other things. There's no bike lane all of a sudden. There's nothing there. There's no bike lane in that area. So maybe that could become a bike lane that connects to Avenue C, but that's an also alternative northern route, because I already ride on Allen a lot. It's already crazy. And there's also a fair amount of homeless that sort of, set up shop along Allen Street. It's dangerous crossing Delancey. So if that's something else that the DOT could push to let everyone know that that's an alternative northern route, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Robin. This is Neglaku, Senior Project Manager of Resiliency at DOT. I'm also joined by, Jennifer and I are both joined by our other colleague in our bikes unit, Hayes. And I believe we did look at Montgomery Street as an opportunity, but we wanted to be cognizant that it is going to be the corridor where construction vehicles will be coming through. So we wanted to focus on safety primarily as a major concern. But we can take a closer look at that, specifically, as you were saying, connecting to other portions of the existing network. I didn't know if Hayes had anything he wanted to add to that.
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
We can certainly sort of look at it, but I know there are definitely the challenges with that route. As you said, there is actually no bike facility for that particular section. And what we like to do for detour routes is to actually detour cyclists onto an existing bike route. So, you know, that's just one of the issues that we would have to look at in the future. Not out of the question, but I can't guarantee anything.
I mean, I'll tell you, it's odd that it ends anyway to Lansing Street, this beautiful bike lane that it ends anyway, but that's beside the point. Can I, Desiree, can you go back to that picture of Sty Cove with the wall?
Yes. This one?
So this is going to be right at the entry and exit point of East River Park. That's not being raised, right? You're going to have the similar setup, right?
A similar, yeah, something similar.
And all along the waterfront, the idea is that these walls go up when they don't go up all the time, but they go up at certain times when the assumption is nobody's going to be in the park hanging out because the storm is so terrible. Is that the idea?
So the wall remains, and then where there are entrances or where the wall crosses any streets or pedestrian walkways, that is where there are gates, and there are swing gates and roller gates. So depending on the location, there's different types of gates, and essentially the wall remains up, and then the gates remain open until there is a kind of a storm emergency, and then the gates are deployed and closed again, either in a swing fashion, or it rolls along the wall.
Oh, why don't I think they were coming up and down, and some of them rolled, but they.
Robin, I think you're confusing it with the Brooklyn Montgomery Coastal Resiliency Project, which is fine, because I think there's a lot of stuff going on. That's happening from Montgomery down to the Brooklyn Bridge area.
What I'm looking at is a scary, hide behind the wall scenario. Now that I see it in its fully created. So I don't know. It's been talked about before, but it looks really scary to me to who's hiding behind that wall. That's all.
No, I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I can come back. I can, I could, again, I can direct you to the illustratives that show, the finished rendering of the park and the Greenway. And then I could certainly bring it back at the next, again, I could bring them back for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is also CB6 area, and they voted and discussed it in length about the whole design, just like we did for our particular area.
Sure, we did, but here I'm seeing a real picture, so it's coming to reality.
Oh, I agree. I took a visit. I took.
It's like, oh shit, I'm not gonna walk in that park by myself. That big wall there. Anyway, thanks a lot. Thank you.
Please keep in mind this meeting's recording, Robin.
Oh shoot! I said shoot. I'm not gonna walk in that park. Darn! I'm not gonna walk in that park at night by myself.
Thank you. So we're going to go to community board members, and I see Elisa and Damaris up, and after that will be Aixa and Wendy. So Lisa, go ahead. I'm not going to put the timer up, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's really fast. I'm just a little confused about access at this point. Maybe you could go back to the drawing. Yeah. And I couldn't follow. I'm not sure I know what you're referring to when you say the Greenway versus the shared path. The eastern path the western path immediately adjacent to, is that open? I mean, if somebody comes in at Houston Street, can they walk all the way north and all the way south?
You can walk all the way north, and it is closed south at this red area here, which is the end of the ball field right before the dance circle.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Yes, and then what was brought up before is the closure is on the north side of the path here. So here there are a series of kind of trees and small shrubs. So that is what was brought up earlier where this is kind of a turnaround to go back. And then again, at the promenade or esplanade, you kind of stop and turn around and go back, or you run through the trees and shrubs, which again is not ideal. Because the work that needed to happen here, they needed the access roadway.
Got it. Thank you. Sorry
You're welcome.
for.
No, not at all.
Ramirez?
Hi, thank you. My question is, it's pretty simple. It relates to the Stuyvesant Cove Park. I guess I just want to know if the construction, because you mentioned that they had to dig up the dirt, and then there's all, now they're building the wall, and I know there are different circumstances, but is the construction of that part of the ESCR following the projected timeline that the ESCR folks were putting forward? What I mean is it meeting the timeline?
Yes. Yes, project area 2 is currently on schedule.
Okay, that's it, on schedule. Thank you.
Yes.
I've had a long day.
I understand.
And Desiree, to follow her point, when will that be complete?
That will be complete. It will be complete in, oh no, I'm sorry. Now I'm blanking. It will be complete at the end of 25, Jeff.
Yeah, that sounds about right, just off the top of my head as well.
Apologies. I believe it's the end of 25. I could check really quick. But
And that is also phased, so the first park to reopen will be Astor Levy to the north.
Yeah.
And then it will go Murphy Brothers, which is 18th Street approximately, will be the last park to be worked on.
So I'm sorry, you mentioned that something was opening up in the spring. I'm blanking too.
Astor Levy, which is, thank you, Desiree.
Yeah.
If you go back to the one that was just before, Desiree, whatever the slide you were just on was easier to, one more.
Oh,
there you go. Yes. Yeah, you'll see Astor Levy up to 25th Street. That's the first park to reopen.
So they'll have full access to that park by the spring.
Sometime this spring, yes. We can, obviously as we get closer, we'll be keeping you and CB6 up to date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I accept.
I just want to make, I have two things to say. The fact that the park, the piece of the park of this plan that's going to protect the residents and public housing. I'm not going to speak for the leadership. I'm going to speak as president of Alfred E. Smith Houses, and how we live in a flood area. I find it very disturbing that for the people who have kind of stopped this project, that all the areas where, you talk about the tales of two cities. This is a real tale of two cities. You got all the areas where is not public housing already being done, already being protected. And then the area that is public housing is unprotected, not being taken care of, and you are killing my family. Whoever is against this is absolutely insane. And yes, I gotta tell you something, for all my fights with, let me finish, for all my fights with NYCHA, this is one time that NYCHA stepped up to the plate to do what they needed to do to ensure that this plan went up. And so we support this plan because we have spoken to the residents in this plan. And I just find it kind of disturbing that the community board members would kind of, we're going to think about it. Don't think about it. This plan has to go through, has to be done for the well-being and the lives of the residents who live on that corridor. Take a real good look at it, because the more I looked at it, the more angrier I've gotten. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aisha. I don't know if that's my phone, does it?
Yeah, I don't know what that buzzing is either. It keeps
I know it's driving me crazy.
In any case, I'm gonna go in this order: Wendy, Diane, and Tonto. So Wendy.
Hi, everybody. I was going to ask, by the ferry, there's a walkway that goes south that got gated off a year ago. And right now, obviously, it just closed the south side end of the park, but that walkway, see where it says Pier 42? Not all the way to the end, but that's quite a long walkway that could be opened up and give more people access to the river. I've never seen anything happening out there whatsoever. And maybe the gate can be moved back. So I'd like to
Wendy,
see, yes?
I'm going to pause you because part of this discussion was to talk about Pier 42. So I know there's someone here to talk about it. So if we can bring that person in right now and discuss the Pier 42, which is in two parts, obviously the temporary deck and the larger plan of the park. But if someone is on for Pier 42, we could get a brief update on that.
Okay, and I also have questions for DOT, but I'll wait.
Correct, yeah.
Hi, Trevor. This is Rick Fogarty with the Pier 42 Upland Park project. And I want to just give an update on first the timeline of the project.
Rick, can you introduce your position and?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm the community liaison for the Pier 42 Upland Park project. You can reach me at pier42uplandpark@gmail.com. If you have any questions about the project or anything specific I can answer for you, you can reach me there. And also you can find any information at the EDC projects Pier 42. There's a web page up that has more information about the project itself. There's two things that Trevor brought up. Yes, so we have the master plan, which is going to be the all-encompassing project. That's going to include the amenities for the project, like the comfort stations, the landscaping, some of the things that are not just the park deck. And that's projected to be done in the summer of 2023. And then the deck, so the park part, the playground area, it will be done in summer of 2022. And currently, I think I heard you mention to the person who was just speaking about some of the progress that you may not see anything going on. We have been working on the south end, south of Montgomery Street, where there is some sewer, water main, and utility work that's been going on to prepare the deck prepare it for the construction equipment to come in and start getting it ready for the surfacing and for the equipment to start being built for the playground itself. So you may not see anything right now, but it is actually happening further south, not right up against the fence that I know the fence you're talking about right there, just on the kind of on the other end of the ferry stop. So just be rest assured that there is progress happening on the project. So and we will be starting some work coming up. It'll be on the FDR ramp around that area. That'll be starting in January after the new year. We're still waiting on some permits for that. So that's all in place. And I will be reaching out with notifications for the community about any issues with travel, noise, things like that, just to keep everybody in the loop on that. So Trevor, I'll make sure and get that to the community board or to your committee, as well as to the community board for CB3. So, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Yes, Rick, I'm going to follow up and then go back to Wendy because she still had another question. And the deck, which will be ready by this summer, which is pretty amazing to think about it. But if we're coming from the south, we're going to have access to that park. We're not going to have to go through the Corliss Hook entrance just to get to Pier 42.
That's a really good question. I'll have to check with the project team on that to make sure what the access points are going to be. I can get you that information. I can email that to you and let you know, and get that updated for the minutes. But I'm not sure on the access points off the top of my head, but I will find out.
Sure. We want to make that a priority because it's already a long walk up to Absolutely. And then to come all the way back to Pier 42. But we need to find a way to allow for people to enter. Wendy, continue with your second. Sure, thanks. Wendy, you want to continue with your next question?
Yeah, and I was speaking specifically of the section I've never seen a vehicle there. I've never seen anything there. And I've walked up to that gate every day, practically the whole year. So if you can open that up, that would be great. And for DOT, and I don't, you explained how Montgomery Street is where the trucks will be, but where do they go? How do they get to Montgomery Street? What are you expecting as far as truck routes through the neighborhood? Are they coming over the Williamsburg Bridge? How will they get here?
I'd actually would push that question to DDC. I don't think we have any insight on that, but DDC, if you can maybe answer Wendy's question.
Yeah, Wendy, I personally do not have a response, but I can take that question back for you and get something, either for the next CAG meeting or the next CB3 meeting.
Desiree, for purposes of this meeting, let's see if we can discuss at January if we do have a further update on this particular park, because that's more of a construction thing and a more in-depth discussion on the construction of the project as a whole.
Sure, so we'll bring that back in January then.
All right, thank you.
Well, I'd like to suggest that NYCHA maybe come to the CAG, maybe even join the CAG. That could be having a NYCHA representative there could help answer some questions, because they are different projects. And we live in the same neighborhood, but there's some areas are getting storm resiliency protections of different kinds. I would love to have a town hall that helps us understand which parts of the neighborhood are protected from sea level rise or storm surge or rain events, and help us understand better how to get ready as a community. Because right now it's very hard to understand where the protection is and what it's protecting us against. We've all seen rain events this year, for example, that were off the charts. So I just want to say that we need a better understanding of what kind of protections are being built in, and maybe we do need interim flood protection. It was the summer of 2020 that we heard the report about it, but maybe it's time to reconsider it in case we have a big storm coming. I know it doesn't do everything. Nothing does. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. But I will say, just from being involved in this for over a decade, that this project from 23rd that will go all the way down to the Brooklyn Bridge is designed to protect the entire neighborhood. It's just kind of the opinion on that. But let's continue. And I'm not sure if it was Diane or Tonto, but I'll go to Tonto. Diane, I see you. I'm just going to go to Tonto first.
My name is Tonto. Two questions. Cornelius, when you go to the Cornelius Piers, the lights are out in the path. I don't know if you can help out with that path at nighttime, because the last boat is like at 9 o'clock. So it's like very dark, and you have to go around like a snake to go into it. So there's a lot of places that people can hide out inside in dark, because it's really dark and there's no light there. So I know you can improve the lighting around there. And there's a lot of homeless, I think, is going inside the amphitheater now. So I already talked to the police officers about that too.
Okay,
And
thanks, Tonto. We'll bring that back.
And the second question is the thing about they had to walk through these shrubs and everything like that. Where the fence is, there's like a 3-car, like you could park 3 cars side by side where they put the fence. So I don't know if they could move the fence like halfway, so they only could use the path for 1 car to go by on both sides. Move the fence more to the middle of the path, because 3 cars could fit in it, but side by side. That's how wide the path is.
Yeah, and thanks for that. I also asked the same question, but again, that again, the fencing is supposed to continue along the shared use path, the Greenway, in this section, so it could be used as a construction way. So again, the fencing is not completely finished and finalized at this moment. But we will take all comments back for
But
the future.
But the fence is permanent because they cement the fence already. So it's not like a temporary fence that you have in the other parts of the park. So
Correct.
it's like, you know, it's like a permanent fence now.
Desiree, do you have
they dig holes and everything like that. And yeah, I'll send you pictures.
Tanta, I'm gonna see if I can help out a bit. Desiree, do you have a picture or a slide that shows the entire closure, or what? Because I think what we're looking at is a partial closure just because of the way things are. But my understanding is that there's more than just this. I don't know if you have a.
Right, the closure, hold on, let me stop share and see if I have it in the deck.
Sure.
From the last.
Sure, while you're doing that, you can find that particular picture. I think we can still continue with questions. Val, I do see you, but I want to go to Diane first.
Hi, this is Diane Lake from the East River Alliance. Hi, Desiree.
Hi.
Sorry to distract you while you're looking for the picture.
No, I can multitask.
Okay, it's the end of a long day. I want to follow up with you a little bit more if this is not a question you can answer right now, but the number one frustration that we're hearing from people is that the Greenway is going to remain closed during the restraining order. And people are hearing that the restraining order could potentially last for a while. So we would actually like to understand better why it is impossible to reopen the gate and let people make use of some of the at least the shared access path and some of the facilities in the lower part of the park while we wait for this to get resolved, because people are, we don't have any mitigations or alternatives for safe places to walk and run. All the mitigations have been focused on cyclists. And we're hearing a lot of frustration from runners and walkers who normally use the entire park and are wondering why they can't continue to do that until the situation gets resolved. Thanks.
Hi, Diane, this is Jeff. I'm happy to try and help. I mean, as Desiree mentioned earlier, the decision was to keep the fence up and to keep that portion of the Greenway closed. I mean, again, we're happy to discuss further with our team, but that is where we stand right now. Understood on the concerns and the frustrations that you've been hearing about.
Yeah, and I don't think people are saying take the fence down necessarily. I mean, they would love it if you did, but people are aware that there's a gate there, and they're wondering why the gate can't be open to allow access. And then, when this gets resolved, the gate can just be reclosed. That's really what the question is.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
And Jeff, a follow-up on that, is that deemed a construction area?
Yeah, I mean, so I was just going to say the contractor technically has a parks permit, so they have liability over that area. So anything that happens, I don't know how that would play out. That's something we'd have to, again, discuss with our team.
Because you would have to, and this is for maybe January or February discussion, because if you were to do that, you would have to create a separate pathway that would not be in the construction area, because if you open that gate, you're technically opening up the construction area.
Correct.
Desiree now has that slide up, and this is the anticipated closure of for PA1, and obviously it stopped, but if you could explain the closure here of where, once the TRO is lifted, that this is the anticipated closure of the Greenway.
Right, so the closure as originally presented would the shared use path or Greenway, however we want to call it, would be closed to 10th Street. It was originally going to be closed even further, but we were able to, for now, keep it open north of 10th Street. So it will be from 10th Street south, and that area would be closed with access, which again, we would have to come back on the details of that, to the open areas of the park. And I know we've received a lot of questions about how that access would work. And again, we will come back with more on that. But this is what was previously presented. So again, technically, this would be kind of closed to this area here, and completely, kind of fenced off. So that's why it's making access here right now. The way it is right now is a temporary condition because this closure of the shared use path didn't get to finish. So I think, does this help, Trevor?
Yes, just to keep people aware, but maybe I opened up a can of worms I didn't want to, because we really want to discuss this when there isn't some court action, so we can have a robust discussion.
Yeah,
and assuming, so in January, whenever, we'll discuss all those access points.
Thank you.
Trevor, you've got 4 people, 2 of them are community board parks members.
All right, so I'm gonna go to Val first, then Christine, then Frank, then Robin. And I apologize if I'm not going in order because it's just Zoom.
Okay, I just wanted to thank Aisha, who is a resident leader from NYCHA, for expressing herself. And I know that the NYCHA leaders have had meetings together, so I assume she's had meetings with a variety of them. And I just wanted to say that one of the things I think you said was, in terms of the community board, I'm a member of Community Board 3 and of this committee. And from the time they changed the plan, I said something about it and said, you need to go back to the community. And from that time, I realized that one of my things was, yes, I think there's a lot of things that are significant and important. But for me, the big thing was the priority has to be, for me, is human life. I don't know whether that's because I'm a retired registered nurse that's worked in the emergency room, and save a life was the major thing that we did. But I have said this from since they have changed this and made it where it was either the trees or the people. And I've said from that point, that somebody said to me, Val, you can either save a patient or a plant. It was very easy choice for me. I'm saving a patient. So while I think there's a lot of other issues that are significant, for me, the priority needs to be human life. So I just thank you, Aisha, and hope that you continue to come to meetings and voice what you hear at meetings at NYCHA residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Val. Frank?
I think you said Christine.
Christine, sorry. Yeah, my memory's all messed up. Christine?
Thank you. What I'd like to express is my frustration about not having really a good discussion about these access points to the park. I think we're playing a little bit of cat and mouse here, and I understand the city doesn't want to discuss it because of the restraining order, but I feel like we are being retroactive instead of proactive. It's very frustrating to be spending time on a community advisory group that's supposed to give input and ask questions and really not get any answers. And then again, being at a community board meeting next month when this restraining order might be lifted and the fences are up, and we still don't have any answers of how these access points, for example, on Houston, 6th Street and 10th Street will work. And I think it would be really productive for both parties to come together and really discuss this before something happens, instead of this retroactive stuff where the city, the default is, yeah, we'll look into it, but it is what it is. I feel like we're really not, there's not really process in that, and there are a lot of concerns how this fence went up on that path, just south of the ball field is it's a safety hazard, and it's disrespectful to people in this community who want to still use the parks that are open, and it just shows no respect to just come to the community and just get input and to work with each other. Thank you.
Thank you. Desiree?
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. I understand and I hear that. However, again, I don't have more to say about the access at this point, other than, we will provide access to the open amenities. There is, again, work that has to happen on the Greenway shared use path in these areas. So that is the driver of where kind of the access points will be, again, to those open amenity areas. And again, we will come back with more on that.
To Christine's point, and I understand it because I think that was what we were going to discuss in detail at this meeting, changes, that we make that a priority whenever you get that information, even if we get it before the community board, so that I can disseminate it and we can have a real thorough conversation about those access points. But thank you, Christine.
Yes.
Frank and then Robin.
Thank you. So Rick, how you doing? It's Frank from Gouverneur. The question I can ask about Pier 42, right, for a quick second?
Sure.
Cool. Rick, so the question is,
Rick, are you still here?
I saw him, so I don't know if he's listening.
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Frank?
Good, good. No, just as a quick question for clarification, the hours of construction are?
At the current time, we're doing day work. I don't know that we have night work coming up. I haven't seen the schedule for that yet, but if there is night work coming up, I'll make sure to let you guys know.
Okay, please. Yeah, there's been some night work that we have documented, very loud, and just I know that you have many different streams you have to coordinate with, but it's really helpful for, in particular, I'm just gonna say for Gouverneur Garden residents to know in advance, because if anyone has come down in this particular corner of the Lower East Side, there's construction going on everywhere. It's on our buildings, it's on our street, and it's all sides. So anyway, thank you for that. And just, I know there was a comment made about understanding vulnerabilities in the neighborhood, and I'll just say what will come to as no surprise, which is without ESCR, we are all at risk. So thanks.
Thank you, Frank. And also, Frank, if you have any of those issues, can you forward them to the community board? I was not aware that there was night construction in that area at all.
Yeah, I will. We're putting the Gouverneur Gardens board. We're putting together a letter, so you'll be on that. So you'll understand all the just questions. But absolutely.
Sure. And Rick, do you know if that's Pier 42 work, or is there other work going on in that area?
As far as I know, there hadn't been Pier 42. There hadn't been night work in quite a while. But I can double check and I'll email you if there has been and let you know that just to verify that there was. But that, not as far as I know, we haven't been doing night work in the area. But
okay, thank you. Michael, Robin, your hand is down, so oh no, it isn't. It's just blended in with the background. Go ahead.
It's the color of my skin. I wanted to bring up Montgomery Street when I was talking about the potential as an alternative bike path. And I thought that we had discussed along the way that one of the reasons why this park design changed was to alleviate the number of vehicles entering the park from the neighborhood. And I also thought we had discussed that there would be an alternative routes and that Montgomery Street would not be a thoroughfare for truck traffic. So I'm concerned when you mentioned that, Desiree. So I wanted to know if you had any more information on that. And then I have to follow up. I wanted to follow up at something else.
Okay, I think, so I didn't bring up Montgomery Street. I'm not sure, again, I wasn't exactly sure where the construction route.
Maybe Neg brought it up.
Yeah, I think Neg brought up, but I personally will have to get back to everyone next month or again earlier if I have the information on what the anticipated truck route would be for this area. And again, there will be the barging of some materials or a good amount of the bulk materials and fill, so that will alleviate some of that.
Well,
traffic.
I know that that was a big selling point when this plan was changed, that all the work would happen on the river and all the materials we brought in from the river. So I know that was a big pitch. Then I just want to also add, you know, as a community member, you know, I to think that there are those in our community who think that people don't want to save lives and that they prefer trees over humans. That makes me sad to hear that. We know that, you know, this plan is flawed, that it's only supposed to last till 2050. That would really only give us 25 years of flood protection. So, you know, anyone who in our community who has a child born between now and the next 5 years will only be 15 to 20 or 25. And so their adult life will not be protected by this park. My son, who's 16, his adult life will not be protected by this park. The walls are already beyond 10 feet. So, you know, that was the whole point, I think, of us trying to spend those 6 years agreeing on a park that would be more sustainable. So I just want to point that out. I just had to mention that as a community member. Now I'm going back to my CB3 member hat.
Thank you, Robin.
Robin.
I see two more hands, and if that's the case, we're gonna three. So if you'd like to speak, I'm gonna ask you to raise your hand because this is supposed to be a relatively short update, but we also want people to be able to speak. So in this order, Wendy, Valentina, and Damaris.
So Desiree, I was wondering, the parallel conveyance bid was now you just said it was pushed back to January, the bid opening date. What impact will that have, do you think, on completion of the project if it's pushed back?
Sure. And Wendy, you know, thanks for the question. And I did receive it also. It's very typical for bids to have, not to be delayed, but to be extended, the bid openings due to questions received, etc. So that is not an uncommon thing for projects during the procurement phase, and that's kind of built into the procurement process. So as of right now, the pushing of the bid date from, you know, the end of December to the very beginning of January is not going to make an impact.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. Val and Damaris.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm following Frank correctly, but in terms of the construction, I know right here on Water Street, it's not the Parks Department. I asked them, who are you people? And I was told that it was Con Edison. That's what, I don't know how true that is, but I went over and asked the workers, what were they doing? And that's what I was told. I don't know if that's still what they're doing, because it seems like they have like spread out even more on Water Street. So that was that. And then let me just go back in terms of what I was saying about people versus the plants. That was said like early on when they changed the plan, when the plan became where it wasn't next to the FDR, but it was closer to the waterfront. I have said this over and over again, because I actually felt like when they changed the plan, that's what it actually, to me, amounted to. It either amounted to, by changing the plan, it made it become either if you're fighting for the park all by itself versus the protection of the people. That's what it somewhat became. And I actually thought that people at first did not realize that that's, in changing it, that's what it became. And so that was a statement that I have made many a time. So I was actually responding to Aisha that people on the board have, I know I have considered the folks in NYCHA Housing, Baruch, Lillian Wall, Jacob Reese, and have said on many occasions the fact that this is low income people of color and that they should be protected, and that protection of those people, their homes, and their families should come first. And so that was my statement, and I have said it more than once. I've said it at almost every meeting. And so that was, just to reiterate, that's what I was saying. And that's why I appreciated Aisha, because I think it is important to hear from NYCHA, the actual people that's on the FDR drive right next to it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Val. And I'm going to ask if DOT is on the line. I'm not sure of the website, if it's run by DOT, but there is a link for street permits that you can look up. I've used it for my neighborhood to see what work is going on. It lists most everything except for some emergency work. If DOT is on the line, is that a website that's from DOT or is that a city website?
That is a DOT website, since we issue all of the street works permits, anything in the right of way. Would it be helpful to drop that link in the chat?
Yes, you could drop it in the chat. I know it's been useful for me to find out work that's been going on because it's impossible to tell at certain points. And when you're trying to find out where noise is coming from or construction, it's helpful if you can know what the permit is for. Damaris, we're going to wrap this up with you, you being the last hand.
Hi. So first I want to say I am a NYCHA resident. I also, work in the neighborhood and have been working with NYCHA communities and many other communities for quite some time. And as one of the lead organizations that helped to develop the initial plan, I feel particularly able to speak on the issue of, people and the park and the water and, frontline communities, which are the NYCHA residents, were flooded, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I was flooded, my building was flooded, and that is a reality. It's been almost a decade since Sandy and what we experienced. I don't know how much longer we have to wait till we come up with the most brilliant plan that we could ever come up with. Of course, there's always a better way to do something. But at this point, we've got to land on something because yes, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 25 years, maybe it's 30 years protection, but that is still a level of protection. And we can move on from there and think about what else we can do. But in the meantime, what we don't have under this increasing climate of climate change and sea level rise and storm surge, it's time to wait for another flood to come and impact our communities. And I want to say that I feel particularly angry about this because I am living through FEMA repairs because of Sandy. This is what Valentina was speaking about earlier. My entire development is a construction site. There is construction outside of my window all day long. Imagine what that feels like working remotely. So, I can't wait for that to be over. And that is a direct impact of the flooding. So we are impacted. That work is not even gonna do everything that is necessary to protect the NYCHA development. We're relying on the ESCR to give us the extra added layer of protection that we need. And I know that's not what this meeting is about. I rarely come to this meeting because I sit on the CAG and I rarely say anything. I'm not saying this as a CB3 member. I'm saying this as an individual, as a directly impacted member of this community who lives on the front line, that people in this neck of the wood need to be protected. And it's very easy to speak on other issues when you are not directly impacted in these ways. And I'll leave it there. And I say that unapologetically. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Damaris, for that. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to end it here. And keep in mind that, that depending on what happens, we will have a more in-depth discussion at some point about the entire construction phasing program. But I still urge committee members to send in questions if you have any. I'm saying for next month, so we can further discuss this. But thank you for the entire team for showing up. I think that's it for the agenda, although we have some committee stuff to take care of. So thank you for the team. We hope to see you in January, and well, happy holidays and happy New Year. We'll see you in January.
Thank you. The same to everyone here. Happy holidays and a happy new year.
And thank you. For
Happy
committee
holidays.
members,
Stay safe.
happy
Have
holidays.
fun.
Committee members stay on. We just have one last thing to take care of, and that is a roll call for attendance. Ryan, if you're ready.
Ryan, you're muted.
Ryan, you're muted. Nice holiday tree in the back.
Can you hear me?
Yep, hey now.
Okay, thanks. Trevor Holland,
Yes.
Kay Webster,
Yes.
Ryan Gillum, yes. David Adams,
Yes.
Yaron Altman,
Yes.
Carlin Chan,
Probably have Yes. a lot of input.
Valentina Jones,
Yes.
Michael Marino,
Yes.
Robin Chattel,
Yes, and I can't believe I'm gonna say Happy New Year. See you next year, for real.
The great thing about Daniel Tano,
Yes.
Josephine Velez,
Yes.
Troy Velez.
Yes.
Great, full attendance.
One last thing, which I forgot, and maybe Kay can help me. There's a visiting session. Kay, do you know when it is for the playground?
Yeah, for the Sarah Roosevelt Park playground is December 13th. That's Monday at 6:30. You do have to register for it. So Trevor, should I send that? I mean, Susan has it in the office, but how can they get the link?
I'll send a link to the committee members. I encourage everyone to join the visiting session. That is a challenging area to say the least, but hopefully the new renovated playground will help to improve things a bit. But it is a visiting session, so I'll send out the link.
And happen
via email.
quickly. And
Yes,
happen quickly.
Right. But
Yeah.
thanks, everybody.
Thanks-
I know
thanks,
there's
Trevor.
a holiday party. I don't know who's going, but make sure you respond back to that. So we might see each other before the New Year. Other than that, thanks, everybody. A motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Trevor, thank you for your leadership on this committee all year. I know I'm not a member, but I just wanted to say that to you. I know it's a lot of work. So happy New Year to everyone and happy holidays.
Happy holidays and thank you, Damaris.
Happy
We're
holidays.
adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.
Merry Christmas to
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks,
Happy
Trevor.
Christmas, happy Hanukkah,
Oh, we'll
happy
see you at the
Kwanzaa.
Christmas holiday party.
Only if there's alcohol.
No alcohol, sorry.